In this video, I'll discuss working with virtual hard drives. Now, what I want to do here is create a new virtual disk. So I'll go ahead and select that. That's the default option. And click Next. Now, here we can give it a size. Now, 60 is the default for Windows 8, 64-bit. I'm going to change that to 100. And then we have two choices. I can allocate that disk space now. And again, remember that allocating it now means that it's going to fill up an empty file and take that space from your existing hard drive. Now, that's not going to work for me because remember, I only have 162 gigabytes free on my hard drive. It would take up 100, but remember, we've also got this other 100 gigabyte hard drive as well. And so collectively, they would be 200, and that's more space than my hard drive has. So 100 is not going to work. Let's go ahead and change that to something more manageable, like 40. Okay. Now, I don't want to allocate the disk space now. Again, there's reasons to do that. It's a good idea if you want to isolate that capacity and make sure it's available, but you don't have to. We're going to go with a dynamic hard drive here, and so we'll leave that unchecked. Now, we've got two choices here. By default, split virtual disks into multiple files. Now, what that means is that a number of different files are going to be created. If we go back and look at my folder again for this virtual machine, you can see that there's one single file for that entire hard disk. Okay, so I actually chose this option when I created that disk. Now, the benefit to that is the performance is going to be a bit better, and that's great, and you only have a single file to contend with. The benefit of splitting into multiple files is that if you need to take this file or this virtual machine and transport it somewhere else, move it to a different machine, it's a little easier to transport because the virtual disk is not one great big file, it's a bunch of small files. So that's something to take into consideration. But remember, performance is going to be an issue. But let's go ahead and use that option anyways. Let's go ahead and click Next. And then all we need to do is give it a name. So if you look up here, the disk file for the first disk is Windows 8 x64.vmdk. And VMware has added the -0 to that one. So that's great. Just so they have to have different names. I'll go ahead and click Finish. And there it is. You can see it's been added automatically right there. And once I've done that, I can go and take a look at my hard drive folder, and there's our new hard drive. Remember, we split it into multiple files. So actually, these are all the files for that hard drive. And because it's a dynamic disk, the files are all very small now. But as I add more information to the disk, these files will start to grow in size. So that's the difference. Multiple files for a 40 gigabyte hard drive, a single file for a 100 gigabyte hard drive. Let's go back. Now, we've got some other options here. And by the way, okay, notice that these options are grayed out here. Now, what we need to do is we need to save and reopen settings to do any of these options. I'll just ignore that for now. Go to this hard drive. And what you can do is either map the virtual machine disk to a local volume. Okay, and what that allows you to do is select a virtual disk file and its associated volume and map it to a drive on my machine. Okay, and that means it would be available in Windows Explorer. That's a great feature. Okay, so if I wanted to, I could go ahead and choose one of these, and let's just go and I can even change that to read and write, which means that I could actually open this up in my host machine and add files to it, even if the virtual machine is turned off. And then you can assign it a drive letter as well. So that's a great feature that allows you to manage your virtual hard drives without actually having to have the virtual machine open. I'm not going to do that right now. I'll cancel that. You can defragment it, and defragmentation might take a while depending on the size of the file. So I'll go ahead and cancel that. There's no need to defragment it right now. Cancel might take a second, so we'll just wait. We have the ability to change the size of the disk. So I can change that size, and notice that there's a little note here saying that this expand will increase only the size of the virtual disk, and it won't increase the partitions and file systems of the virtual machine. I'm going to explain that in a second. And then we have the ability to compact it to reclaim unused space. And that's important. If you're doing a lot of file operations in your guest OS, then a lot of the space could be poorly allocated, and the compact feature just allows you to reclaim that space and perhaps even improve performance. So I'll go ahead and click OK. Now notice here that we have that new hard drive we just created. I'm going to power on this virtual machine now because this is an important aspect of adding new hard drives, new virtual hard drives, once you've actually installed a guest OS. Okay, so now that I'm inside my virtual machine, I'm going to right-click on the Start button and find Disk Management. And this is important. Because I had already created that virtual machine, but after the installation, you have to treat creating a new virtual disk as if you had actually plugged in a brand new hard drive to a physical computer, and that means it needs to be formatted and it needs to be partitioned. So here, as soon as I ran disk management, we get a message telling us that the disk has to be initialized. Now, keep in mind that this is not unique to Windows. If you have a Linux system or some other OS, the same thing is going to happen. You're going to have to go ahead and initialize that disk before you can use it. Now, we have some options here, and this would be the same as if I was doing this inside a physical Windows system. We have MBR or GPT, GUID partition table. It really depends on what we need here. It's a small hard drive, so MBR will work fine. Now, once I've done that, there's our new virtual hard drive that we created, that 40 gigabyte drive that's a collection of multiple files. Now, the problem is that it's currently unallocated, so I have to go ahead and right-click that, New Simple Volume, and in the wizard, just go ahead and click through. Everything looks good, and then it even gives me the option of formatting it. I'll go ahead and change the name. Click Next and Finish. Now, it's already formatting, so I can cancel that. And if we go and right-click here, bring up, say, my File Explorer. We don't currently see that drive, but give it a second. The formatting process will take a few seconds to a few minutes. And once it's done, we've got our new virtual hard drive right there. And I can go ahead and open it, and right now it's just an empty drive because we just formatted it. But in reality, what this is a collection of small files right here on our hard drive that represent our new virtual hard disk.